Hello, and welcome back to Shower Thoughts with Mansi, where I'll tell. Couldn't speak. It probably can be explained by the fact I just came from a run and I'm about to head into the shower. Then this thought came through, and I was like, I have to note this down before it's too late, because there's so many really good thoughts I've had recently, and I was like, oh my god, such incredible podcast ideas. But I proceed to let them flow through, and then when I try to recall them for the podcast, it's all gone because it's all been processed. And I'm like, well, sucks, because I've been trying to document all of this. But anyway, welcome back to Shower Thoughts with Mansi, where I tell you guys what's on my mind, we unpack it, and we see what we can learn. Basically, let's get started. I just came from my run. I went for a run. I was aiming for 5k, but it was like a 3-point-something jogette with little breaks for walks, because this was more a run because I needed to move my body. I haven't really moved my body in a few days, and I was like, nah, girl, you're like, absolutely not. You have no excuse. You've been talking about going for a run for a few days now. Let's get out. You just need to move your body. And my aim was to do my route that is like a circle from home to the river and then back. And I tried a new version of that route, and I got lost. But at the same time, I found the most beautiful spot. I was like, hello. And at the same time, I also found out where the Institute of International Spanish something. Maybe editor will jump in and tell you exactly what it is if I think that's relevant to the podcast, or maybe I won't. But yeah, it was a nice little jacket. And then I was like, yeah, that's good. Also aim to stay in zone 2, but that absolutely, I don't know why, the second my leg starts to run, from, what is the transition? I can't speak. What is the transition between walking and running? There's a word for that. We're gonna call that walk, because run walk. So the second I start to walk, not even run, just walk, my heart rate just goes into zone 4, and I'm like, hello. And I've been thinking about this all the way through that run for about an hour now. Yes, it took me an hour to run 3.5k. Don't judge me, okay? I just graduated Physio a few weeks ago, so no one come for me. This would be discrimination against the less talented, skilled, and basically injured, okay? Okay, let's get into the thought. But as I was walking into the shower, I sat in my bathtub right now. Good question, and I'm not going to answer it. But the second I entered the shower, I realized something quite incredible, and I was like, hello, what is that? But basically, I think everything in life has a cheat sheet, or basically everything in life has a cheat sheet. Everything in life can be problem solved. But bear with me, okay? Just bear with me. In one of the previous episodes, I was telling you guys about my 3 pillars, which is health, purpose, and relationships. And I was thinking about this. Health is so easy to buy a hack, because let's take the aspect of physical health, or just even emotional health, I think, and spiritual health to a certain extent is very warped into health in general. It's all interconnected. But my thought process was the core pillars of health in general is to sleep well. It is to fuel your body appropriately, and then to move. There's literally so many papers, books, neurologists, scientists of all kind that talk about not the cure, but the 3 pillars of happiness is rest, fueling, and movement. And I'm not saying that if you do those 3, you'll be forever happy your entire life. That doesn't exist. Neurologically, it's not even possible. But when you're rested enough, you get rid of so many things in your system, and that makes it easier to be more present in your day. And when you fuel enough, it's the same thing, because you're giving your body energy. It's kind of like fueling a car. And movement is basically what we've been designed to do. Our body, look at the physiology of your body. You're meant to be moving. Our ancestors, I don't know if you believe in evolution, but used to jump from trees to trees, etc., etc. I think the point I'm trying to make is a bit lost here. I could maybe articulate this better, but if you want to be happy most of the time, if you want to put the eggs in your basket, the way to hack that is basically make sure you're rested enough, you're fueled enough, and you're fueled appropriately, and you're moving. Okay, that's that. I was thinking about the cheat sheet for purpose, for example. At least for me, I realized when it came to anything related to my purpose, if we take yeah, just purpose. But I'm just gonna generalize it in terms of like my learning journey into mastery. It's failure. You're gonna hate me for saying this, but it is failure. Actually, it's two things. I think it's very much leaning into the things you love, enjoy, feel intrigued about, or curious about. It's about leaning in those multiple avenues and exploring things. But at the same time, as you explore those things, experiencing failure, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I think failure is kind of like hypothesis testing. When you're testing a hypothesis, this is what I remember. I did math A level in like 7 years ago now. Actually 7-8 years ago now. This is ridiculous. Oh my god, I'm old. But yes, I did A level maths about like 7 to 8 years ago, and basically this is what I remember. So do correct me if I am wrong. But hypothesis testing, when you're testing a hypothesis, there's very small chance that you will reject the hypothesis, correct? I'm waiting for someone to say correct back. Have I lost the plot? But basically, that is how I remember it working. And the thing is, when you're testing a hypothesis, there's only two potential options. One, you reject the hypothesis. The second one, you don't reject the hypothesis. But which one is more useful to you when you think about it? Not rejecting the hypothesis, it's like the sky is red. If I don't reject the hypothesis, does that mean the sky is red? No, the hypothesis has not been confirmed. But when you reject my hypothesis being the sky is red, you know for a fact that that door is closed, and you can come up with a new hypothesis now. The sky is purple. The sky is blue. The sky is red. We've already rejected that. Sorry, the sky is white. You know? Again, expecting someone to respond back to me. I know. But basically, this is my relationship with failure. And this is something I've really come to like learn in the past like 2 years, in the past year. Basically, yeah, I would say in the past year or so. Failure is so good, which is why you should be chasing failure. Not in like you're running and then you're causing your muscles to fail. Absolutely not. But you should be choosing in terms of things like your purpose. You should be aiming for failure, because through failure, you learn, you get redirected, you pivot. But I feel the strong need to iterate that when I mean it's the cheat sheet is to chase failure, I in no way, shape or form am telling or advocating for like setting yourself impossible challenges just that you fail like by default. Like it's, for example, someone who's never run before be like, oh my god, let me chase failure, let me run a marathon when I've never run before. Like, no, this is not what I am saying. And I am also not telling you to go out and like don't study at all and go fail your exams. No, this is not what I am saying. I'm saying in terms of like goals you set yourself, like set yourself goals that are realistic enough to achieve, but optimistic enough that you could fail. So like I think there's a balance with respect to that. For example, I have been trying different things. I started my career. I went to uni studying earth sciences because I love the environment, and it was something that I was so deeply interested. And the irony was, in my second to third year of uni, I knew for a fact this is absolutely not what I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, which parts of earth sciences appeal to me? In no way, shape or form am I like chasing failure here. Does that make sense? I still graduated my bachelor's with a first class, but at least I did something that my heart was leaning towards, and I found out, okay, you know what? That's not for me. Let's pivot. And then I did a lot of numerical analysis. I'm like, that's for me. And I did a master's in data science. I had a specialization in deep learning. In the beginning, I thought that was for me. But the more I worked as a data scientist, realized, you know what? Also not for me. Again, I didn't choose a job that I knew I would hate. In the moment, I thought it was something I loved. And being honest, in that moment, I did love it. But with time, I realized, hey, I'm not being challenged. I am not learning anything. This is probably not the way I want to go. And I think in the process, I've also gotten to know myself better. And I know deep in my bones now, which I think is quite incredible, because a year ago, that was not the case, let alone 2 years ago, you know? And basically, I know deep in my bones what makes my soul glow, my heart glow, my brain glow. Now I know, or at least I think I know, like in which direction I want to go. And you know what? Maybe I'll go in that direction for like a few years to realize this is not for me. And I'm going to refine and refine and refine until I find that one thing that I will be doing until retirement. So this is kind of abstract sense of failure that I am talking about, okay? It's also, let's just take my running journey. I ran a 5K and then I ran a 10K, and I was like, you know what? I think it's realistic enough to run a half marathon, which is like 2 10Ks basically, and then some, like a 1.1, I think, extra K. That technically doesn't count, or at least that's what I tell myself. And I did do it, but 12K and my knee went kaboom. And technically you could say I failed. And to be fair, I am actually quite grateful I failed, because it's given me a lot of good stuff, and we are going to talk about this in 2 seconds. But at the same time, running that half marathon made me also realize I enjoy running, but only up to a certain distance. And so it's taught me something incredibly valuable, that like my running enjoyment lasts until around like 10K, I think is the perfect distance. 12K is like Gucci, Moochie. I think I could push until 15K, but it stops being enjoyable at that point. It's raining and I am recording this outside, so I probably will have to relocate in 2 seconds. Does that whole thing kind of make sense? So chase failure. Trust me on this, kind of. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I need to articulate this better, but I'll do that in another podcast, because right now I want to talk about cheat sheets. I want to talk about the thought I had on my run, because right now I've given you the basically cheat sheet for 2 pillars out of my life. So health and then purpose. But I think I just found the cheat sheet to relationships was just something I've never quite clocked until like 30 minutes ago. Not even 30 minutes ago, like 10 minutes ago. Actually, and bear with me, guys. So I think the cheat sheet for relationships in general is expectations, and talking about them. Because I've been looking back at I've been reflecting a lot this week. I will tell you guys a story maybe in the next episode, in the next few episodes, where basically I have a 1 week of annual leave where I'm just chilling at home doing absolutely nothing. I cleaned my wardrobe in the recent 2 days because I realized a lot of the stuff in my life, also, what is this background noise, guys? But a lot of stuff in my life I feel not necessarily in alignment with me. And basically I was like, because one of the things I've been currently working on is to live a life with purpose, like doing things with intent. Like every single thing I do in my life, I want it to be with the intention of doing said thing. And I was like, one thing that is not the case is all the stuff I have hoarded in my room. Because as much as I like to not identify myself as a hoarder, which is why I decided, 4 square meter room is exactly what I needed. I do hoard stuff in the likelihood, I might need that, or I might need that. And I think this is something I've kind of gotten from my grandpa and my dad and things along those lines. In no way, shape or form am I judging them, but I thought that was quite interesting. But a lot of the stuff in my life were not in alignment, and I was like, you know what, let me just stare at every single item of clothing I have and just get rid of them. Not get rid of them, but if it doesn't bring me joy, whether I could use it or not, I'm just going to donate. And I've basically cleaned my room and my kitchen and everything else. But to move back to, I've had a week of introspection where I've got to think about life and stuff. And I also had a recent conversation with someone. I'm not going to go too much into detail about that conversation, but it left me feeling a bit like, and basically, I was like, it gave me a lot of food for thought, and we can unpack this maybe in another episode, but it made me realize like how important it is to talk about expectations. Because on my run again, I was thinking about expectations, and this is a conversation I've had quite often. Like I've had like 3 of those this week in itself. I had one with my grandma where I was like, hey, listen, been doing some digging into our relationship. There's one thing I want to change, because when we speak, I expect us to have like quality time, because we live halfway across the world and we don't get to spend that much time together, and you can't text. So when we speak, I like it to be like quality time. So the only thing I ask from this point onwards is we pick a day. And we pick like an amount of time, could be 15, could be 30 minutes, where everyone is locked out. It's just me and you. This person could be calling, this person could be distracting you, but it's just me and you. I want time with my parent, and that's that. And we just had a conversation, and I was telling her like my why, And so my expectation and my why, and it was so nice. And I was talking to my best friend Edward, I think last week around his birthday, because I had like a lot of thoughts of what I wanted to do for his birthday. He's made my life significantly better. He literally shows up without me expecting him to. Like, he literally shows up every day and he's like, I'm gonna be the best. And I never had that expectation of him. And basically, he's added so much value to my life, and he made me feel really loved, and really appreciated, and just, he's been my rock. And I think for his birthday, I wanted him to feel loved, and I had like 50 ideas of what I could do to ensure that he felt loved. And I realized, like, I could be brainstorming 20-30,000 different things, but if I don't know what his expectation is, there's no way, shape or form. I mean, I could try and I could succeed, but there's not, like, I'm not putting the eggs in my basket here. And I was thinking about, how important it was to just talk about our expectation. And we had like coffee the day before his birthday. I'm like, listen, I have a plan and I'm not going to tell you about it because I want it to be a surprise, but like, what would make you feel loved? And yeah, and we had that chat and I was like, okay, that's good. He literally was like, nothing. I'm like, sucks. I hate you. This is not helping me. But proceeded to get him a car and a cupcake because that's, I think, the bare minimum. And then, I don't know, I just did extra spontaneous things to show him how loved he is, because I feel like he's one of the people in life that gives so much to so many people. Yeah, but I wanted him to feel loved. And as I was running, I was thinking about this, and then it started to like fully unpack, and I was thinking about like my previous relationship, about how I think the core reason why, not the core reason, there's many reasons, but I think talking about our expectations from each other would have saved that relationship, because there was so many things that got lost in translation. And I think every single problem we've had came from a place of expectations not being met. And I think it's very delicate when you think about relationships, because basically, like, I don't know, I feel like when you have like relationships as intimate as the ones you share with your parents or your partner comes with expectations, like inherent expectations. So yeah, it was just a thought process I had, and I was looking back to like the relationship before that and the relationship before that, and I think it made me realize how important, like how absolutely about expectations is. And I was like, oh dear, did I just crack the cheat sheet? Did I just crack the cheat sheet? Have I now problem solved like the 3 pillars of my life? Is this what I have become? And yeah, that's basically it. That is all I wanted to like talk about, and I am so grateful that I got to talk about it today, and I get to edit this, and no podcast episode is going to be late because I've had such a week. Yeah, I had a week that I will soon talk about when I feel ready to talk about it, and we're gonna laugh about it. And I was like, recording a podcast episode is not on my priority list because it will just stress me out, and I just need to like decompress, but I am so happy I get to do this. So coming on to concluding notes, what did we learn? Numero uno, you can actually problem solve all the things in your life, like literally everything. I've come to that realization, and I genuinely think you can problem solve everything in your life. You're unhappy, can be problem solved. You have IBS, can be problem solved. Yeah, these were 2 very random things you could problem solve. Let me think of a third one, just to, like odd numbers. I love them. You want to buy a house, can be problem solved. I mean, it is definitely problem solvable. Yeah, so everything in life can be problem solved is point numero uno. Point number 2 is basically that different parts of your life need different perspective, because relationships, for example, have nothing to... I was about to say relationships have nothing to do with health, which is an absolute lie, because there's few studies that talk about how having a good support system basically ensures you have a better health and you're happier. So I was about to chat like a little bit of nonsense now, but point number 2 is different aspects of your life need different perspective, because to maintain good relationships, it could be a relationship to yourself, it could be a relationship to working out, it could be a relationship to food, relationship to your mother, relationship to your partner. It's all about the expectations. Whereas even being happy, actually, I think is about expectations, but when coming to your health, it's about getting the fundamental right. Does that kind of make sense? So I feel like it's so important to realize that there's no one solution fits all. That's basically what I am trying to say. So be open to the idea that if you have a problem, it's not that one key that you've been opening every single door with that is going to open that door. You need to be thinking of different ideas, and it will come to you in moments you would least expect it. And I think the last that I would conclude this podcast episode with is basically an advice I would like to give to myself or to my future self. Do not try to mastermind everything in life, because this comes from another thought that I had in the past about getting 100% of things right. I feel like if you get 100% things right, there's no room for growth. And basically, what I am trying to say is do not try to problem solve every aspect of your life to the point that you will never have any problems to solve. Does that kind of make sense, or am I just going on a tangent? Leave some stuff to wonder, or else you're basically taking away the experience of life. Because if you've cheat sheeted every single thing in your life, then the wonder or the faith or that level of magic, is it just gone? Note to self, don't try to mastermind everything in your life, and just have faith that it will work out. But every single problem does have a solution. You just need to be mindful enough, open enough, creative enough to find it. And that's basically it. Thank you guys for having me in your ears. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and all of that shebang. And I'll see you guys next Friday at noon. Bye!